Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when you stop chasing validation and start creating value. There comes a moment when your worth is no longer determined by what people think of you, but by the strength, resilience, and authenticity you carry within yourself. Becoming a high value person is not about money, status, or appearance. It is about who you are when no one is watching, how you treat others when you have nothing to gain, and how you rise after every fall. It is about living with integrity, with purpose, and with grace. Today, I want to share with you 5 powerful signs that show you are becoming a high value person. Number 1, you respect yourself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve you. The first sign of becoming a high value person is when you stop begging for love and attention that costs you your peace. You begin to understand that holding on to what hurts you is not strength, it is fear, and letting go is where true courage lies. Walking away does not mean you are weak, it means you finally respect yourself enough to stop settling for less than you deserve. When you begin to respect yourself, you no longer chase people who don't see your worth. You no longer fight for spaces where you are only tolerated. You choose to create your own space where you are celebrated. You stop proving and start believing. That shift within you is what transforms your life. There was a time when you may have clung tightly to people, to jobs, to situations, simply because you feared the emptiness that came with letting go. But the moment you realize that emptiness is not a curse, it is freedom, you find the strength to release what does not belong to you. You learn that not everything you lose is a loss. Respecting yourself is not about arrogance, it is about boundaries. It is about saying, I deserve peace, and not feeling guilty for choosing it. It is about saying no without explaining, and yes only when it truly feels aligned with your soul. It is about protecting your inner world from unnecessary storms. You begin to understand that you don't have to be everywhere, you don't have to please everyone, and you don't have to prove anything. Your worth is not in someone's acceptance, it is in your self-respect. And when you value yourself, you teach others how to value you. Walking away becomes your superpower, not because you are giving up, but because you are moving forward. Every step away from what drains you is a step closer to what fulfills you. Every door you close with dignity opens another filled with opportunity. And slowly, you realize that peace is more beautiful than approval, freedom is more rewarding than attachment, and self-respect is the highest form of love you can give yourself. Number 2, you focus on growth instead of perfection. Another powerful sign is when you stop chasing perfection and start embracing growth. You realize that perfection is an illusion that keeps people trapped in fear, while growth is a journey that sets people free. Perfection tells you to hide your flaws, but growth tells you to learn from them. When you value growth, you stop being ashamed of your mistakes. You see them as part of your story, not stains on your identity. You accept that stumbling is not failure, it is movement. Falling is not the end, it is the beginning of standing stronger. Growth requires patience. It requires you to face yourself with honesty and ask, am I better than I was yesterday? Rather than, am I perfect in the eyes of others? This shift in mindset changes everything. You stop comparing your journey with anyone else and start honoring the pace of your own path. The beauty of growth is that it allows you to evolve without pressure. It allows you to take risks without fearing mistakes. It allows you to live authentically without hiding your scars. And the more you grow, the more you realize that the process matters more than the outcome. A high-value person understands that life is not about arriving at some flawless version of yourself, but about continuously becoming. You are not a finished product, you are a work in progress. Every experience is shaping you, every challenge is building you, and every failure is guiding you. You begin to appreciate the little victories like the courage to try again, the patience to wait, and the resilience to rise after falling. You stop waiting for big moments to validate your worth and start valuing the small shifts that are shaping your character. And one day, you look back and realize that your growth didn't come from pretending to be perfect. It came from daring to be real, daring to keep moving, and daring to never give up on yourself. Number 3, You lead with kindness, not ego. The third sign is when you no longer need to dominate others to feel strong. You understand that kindness is not weakness, it is power. Ego builds walls, but kindness builds bridges. Ego shouts to be heard, but kindness whispers and still leaves an impact. When you lead with kindness, people remember how you made them feel, not how loud you were. They remembered the warmth in your words, the empathy in your actions, and the humility in your presence. That is true influence, and that is true leadership. Kindness means choosing compassion, even when the world gives you reasons to be bitter. It means smiling at strangers, forgiving when you could hold a grudge, and helping when no one is watching. These small acts define greatness more than titles and achievements ever could. Leading with kindness requires strength because it is much easier to react with anger than to respond with grace. It takes a strong heart to remain soft in a world that constantly tries to harden you. And when you succeed in doing so, people gravitate towards you not because of what you have, but because of who you are. Kindness transforms relationships. It creates trust, it builds respect, and it inspires loyalty. People may forget the words you said, but they will never forget how your kindness touched their hearts. That is how high-value people leave legacies. You begin to realize that ego separates, but kindness connects. Ego competes, but kindness uplifts. Ego seeks attention, but kindness spreads light. And every time you choose kindness over ego, you rise higher in your own humanity. And slowly you understand that the true measure of a person's worth is not how many bow down to them, but how many are lifted because of them. Number 4, you protect your time and energy. The fourth sign is when you realize that your time and energy are sacred and you no longer give them away carelessly. Time is the only currency you can never earn back, and energy is the fuel that shapes your life. A high-value person treats both with reverence. Protecting your time means setting boundaries with courage. You stop saying yes to every request, every distraction, every opportunity that doesn't align with your vision. You begin to value the quality of your days more than the quantity of things you do. Energy is your life force, and where you spend it determines what you become. When you pour it into negativity, gossip, or meaningless pursuits, you feel drained. But when you invest it into growth, purpose, and meaningful connections, you feel alive and empowered. This does not mean you stop giving. It means you stop giving until you are empty. You learn that pouring from an overflowing cup creates impact, but pouring from an empty one only leaves you exhausted. You begin to give from a place of strength, not depletion. Protecting your time and energy also requires discipline. It means waking up with intention, choosing who you allow into your space, and walking away when something or someone no longer feels aligned with your peace. It is not selfish, it is survival. And when you begin to respect your time, others do too. People start to see that your presence is valuable, your focus is intentional, and your life is purposeful. You attract those who honor your boundaries and distance yourself from those who disrespect them. And slowly, your life becomes lighter, clearer, and more focused. Because you are no longer scattering your soul, you are investing it where it truly matters. Number 5, you live aligned with your values. The final and most powerful sign is when your life reflects your values, not just your words. Integrity becomes your foundation, and authenticity becomes your strength. You no longer live to impress the world, you live to honor your principles. Living aligned with your values means that your choices reflect who you truly are even when no one is watching. It means that you are not swayed by trends or opinions, because your compass is rooted within, not outside. Your life becomes your loudest message. When you live this way, people trust you not because you speak beautifully, but because you live truthfully. Your consistency becomes your credibility, and your courage to stand for what is right becomes your greatest testimony. Values are not spoken, they are shown. They appear in how you treat others, in the decisions you make when it's hard, and in the sacrifices you embrace for the sake of integrity. When storms test you, your values become your anchor. Living with integrity sometimes means losing comfort, people, or opportunities, but you never lose yourself. And that is the ultimate victory, to walk through this world unshakably true to who you are. The peace of alignment is unmatched. When your heart, words, and actions align, you no longer feel torn within. You begin to walk with confidence, not because you are perfect, but because you are whole. And slowly, you realize that beauty fades, money shifts, fame disappears, but values remain. And those who live by them leave behind a legacy that cannot be erased. At the end of the day, becoming a high-value person is not about seeking validation from the world, but about honoring the truth within yourself. It is about walking away from what no longer serves you, choosing growth over perfection, leading with kindness instead of ego, guarding your time and energy, and living a life that reflects your deepest values. These signs are not just habits, they are transformations that reshape your soul and strengthen your character. When you embrace these qualities, you begin to rise above the noise of the world and step into your true power. You stop being controlled by circumstances and instead create a life rooted in authenticity, peace, and purpose. And in that moment, you realize your value was never something you had to prove, it was something you had to live.